a little bit more about the fan place profile, the fan place feed, all that kind of stuff. So the feed is really important because when users come to your profile, for example, of social media or whatever, they're going to want to see that you have a bunch of content up, right? So if they go to your profile over here and they don't see any posts up, then what are we even talking about here? Why would they subscribe, right? Forget not having a name or whatever. We'll get into that in a second. You got to have posts up. It's really important. Okay. And so there's a couple ways you can do this. You can go to fan place and just be over here and just click this button here, and that would open up all the folders on your computer. You can then choose the content from the folders. Okay. You click the content, you add a caption, and you post, right? You can actually schedule content as well if you want, right? It's more than allowed to schedule content, and I actually recommend it because then you kind of have a bunch of content scheduled ahead of time. So when you first start, the recommended amount is like 200 to 250 photos, 50 plus videos, and then you go like all of it yourself, and now you have like a pretty legit looking profile built out. If a new person comes, he's not going to look at that and say, "Huh, that person's just starting. I don't get a lot of value." I don't get a lot of value if I subscribe. They're going to feel like, wow, if I spend $3, I get all this amazing content. I get 50 videos. Your conversion rate's going to improve a lot. And I see a lot of people who are new to FanPlace, and then they're complaining about the conversion rate. I'm like, well, I'm like, if you just like put more content on the feed, your conversion rate would go up a lot because guys would see, hey, there's stuff to buy, right? And I think that people believe that you can't do like these mass uploads when you for sure can. So that's one way you can do stuff. Another way is by going to the vault, and you kind of have a whole thing that says feed already. And so you can go in. Let's inspect the content first. So you have to first decide, hey, like, do I want this to be on the feed? Yes or no? Is it looking legit? I mean, this looks like a really nice photo. Are there anything like weird or off about the photo? Are her tits too small? Are the fingers off, etc.? Like there could be like minor things because it's AI. It's not going to be perfect. We'll get into this more in the first 2 weeks. You just click this button here as we showed previously. You make a text. Do I look good in this bikini? Question mark. And you can either schedule or post. If you just want it up, you post. Done. Finish posting, if we go back to the feed and we refresh, you can see here that the content is now live. We can also schedule content. So you can actually move content to another folder by clicking this button here. But you can also schedule content by clicking that and then schedule, and then you can choose a time, right? So let's say I want this to go up tomorrow. Then I would do that. I would click save, and then boom, this would be scheduled for tomorrow. Add a caption. Another thing that I recommend doing is within your feed or within your vault in general, you can make a used folder content, right? And so, for example, in the feed, I could say, hey, I can make a used on FanPlace feed folder. Okay. And then what I can do is I can move all the content that I've used into the folder. So you just click here, you open it up, boom. It's just like Dropbox, move. So now it's moved into there. So if we click here, there's the content. Okay. And so I would recommend doing that so you don't reuse content. Now you can reuse content. So if you did this and you posted the content on the feed, you can still use that content on social media. There's no rule against that. Okay. It's completely allowed. So that's a little bit about the FanPlace feed. In terms of profile, you're going to want to go to settings, and this is where you can choose your profile stuff. So first of all, you want to give her a name. And so, you can call her, you can call the model whatever you want. Let's say I'm calling her Vicky Sparks, whatever. It doesn't matter. You can call the model whatever you want. Okay. Set a gender. You can set a date if you want. So we can make her a July model, the day I'm filming this. And then you're going to want to set an age. I think that, under 24 is probably the best. I would say like between 19 to 21 is the best. So let's make this model 21-year-old. Location, you can add a website. So for example, if she has an Instagram, you can add an Instagram, or you can add her landing page there. You're going to want to add a bio. We'll get into this in the future sections of the course. You can add some basic information just by choosing it here. So she's 21, she's single, etc., whatever you want to choose. And then you can add her socials here as well. And then here you can actually set the price. And so for me, I like to do 19.99 with a first time discount, and then the discount price is going to be $3. So I like doing 85% off, $3 discount. And then this is why it's important to have all the content on the feed. Because when you have the content on the feed, what happens, the guys come in and they're like, hey, $3, but I get to see 250 photos, 50 videos, all this stuff, and then also get the opportunity to chat with the model. It's kind of a good value situation. But if you have 20 photos, no likes, there's no videos, and you make it like $10 or even $3, the guy's going to be a lot less likely to subscribe. Okay, so I think it's important. I like to enable all of these. Okay, and personally, I'll do like 30, 50, and then 65. But you can do whatever you want. It's not like something you have to do. And then I highly recommend to switch this to online, right? And so if you click update, what that means is this green dot over here on the profile, you could see here, our profile is now updated. This green dot here on the profile, okay, will always be green, but if it's not on, then it'll only be on when the fan place is live. And that's bad. You definitely want it to always say available now. So when the guys come to the profile off social media, they're like, oh, it says available now. Let me subscribe. The model's there. But if it says offline, the guys will be like, well, like, she's not there. Why would I spend the money? Right? What's the point? I'm going to spend the money and she's not there. Right. So it'll lower your conversion. So these are all little things, but they really add up. If you go back to settings, okay, you can upload a profile picture and you can choose a banner. Okay. For the banner, you got to go to Canva, right? I recommend making a banner similar to this, right? Miley is my model. If you've watched any of the other educational content, you know Miley. She's been my model for a very long time. This banner has worked really well for us for a long time. Okay. Maybe I should cover her or that over there, but whatever. This banner has worked really well for us for a long time on Miley. And, she's been a pretty successful model. And I don't know if she's at like 100K yet in earnings, but she's almost there. So, anyways, she's doing quite well. And the banner, I think, with like these three photos looks really nice. Here's like another model of mine that looks really good. So these like quad banners look really nice. So I like using like the maybe a slightly more sexual content in the banner. I just think it looks good. And you could also check the bio. You could pause the video on Miley or this, and these are really good bios that you can use. And so we'll go over bios more again in the first 2 weeks course. This is just like a brief of how it all looks. So you could see Victoria looks legit. She's got her Instagram here. We got her some basics about her. $3, 19.99 a month, exactly like I said. 30, 50, 65. We got 452 photos, 20 videos, perfectly fine. 43,000 likes. I mean, this looks like a legit model, and she is a legit model. I mean, if you go to her Instagram, we can go see. I mean, she's got 155,000 on this Instagram. Okay. And it just like overall, like her brand just looks really legit, I would say. And so that's what I'm teaching you guys to do is the same things that I do to build out a high quality brand. You can see here that I include something that says 9.8 miles away. How you do that is by just going to location, and you could just write here, 9.8 miles away, right? And then you could click save by clicking update and then go to the profile, and you can see here it says it right there. All right. And so that isn't like some magic thing. It's just a thing that we write the location, because it kind of gives it like an appearance that, oh, the model's closer, the guy can meet up. And then there's stuff there as well with the landing pages that we do that we'll get into in future videos in the first 2 weeks. But again, this is just an introduction. So we'll leave it there. That's a little bit about the fan place profile. Additionally, there's notifications. So whenever your model gets subs and stuff, you can see your notifications here, messages, the home feed again is right over here. And that's basically all you need to know about the fan place profile. Anything else we'll get into in later videos that will be more in depth, of course. This is just, again, just like a basic introduction of how fan place works. So we'll continue on with the intro now. Thank you very much.